little speakeasy in the 1920s. If you got too loud, they kicked you out.
Oh shit!
Can you imagine?
It's like you, because I feel like I would get kicked out real quickly because my laugh is so loud.
Yeah, it's like sharp and loud.
Yeah,
You're like,
Yeah, we got in trouble a few
like a
times. We're never
witch.
kicked out.
Yeah.
They give
Or my
you
sneeze.
warning.
I'll just sneeze once, but get the fuck out. Why are you here?
oh, his sneezes are traumatizing. Like if you're not ready, his sneezes are traumatizing
Oh
to
my
hear.
god.
My
Like,
sneeze and my
literally
laugh is
traumatizing.
pretty loud.
You will have PTSD after it.
Oh
It gets pretty
gosh.
loud.
And cheers.
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 Tamar, thank you for coming on the
Thanks
show.
for having me, guys.
We're drinking back at it, the Mortlock 16, which is awesome. You
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
this whiskey.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, Holly brought this. Really good, right?
Woo.
Yeah, it's very
That
nice.
wakes you up.
That's what it's there for.
It wakes you up.
Wow.
Look at that.
Oh my God,
Our eyes like
okay.
wide open.
Wait, so you were just saying that during the Prohibition days
Yes.
in the 1920s, the speakeasies, you had to be silent. Was that because they didn't want to get caught drinking?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, they couldn't get caught because in America, when alcohol was forbidden,
yeah.
if you got caught, like you were done.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we got like all this moonshine and the mafia, the mob, right?
All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
Everything that makes America interesting these days, I guess.
Yeah, but also in the same thread, it really created this black market, and now we have this whole like war on drugs. That's done from prohibition.
Yeah.
And so,
I
yeah, and when
guess.
you tell people they can't have something, they want it more.
Well, let's drink again. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers to that. I want another sip.
Here's to scarcity.
Well, we do not have scarcity today. That's for damn sure. So we can always we have a bunch of bottles. We have wine ready.
Yeah, this is a room
Ready
of
to go.
abundance.
So you said you used to be a singer?
I used to be, yes. Maybe in another parallel life, I'm a rock star. I don't know. But in this life, okay, so here's what happened. So my very first solo, I was 3 years old, sang Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Loved it. And then I sang for 27 years of my life, kind of semi-professional because I actually got paid for singing. But I was also classically trained. I sang in church eons ago. And then when I was 27 or so, I got croup, which like only kids get, but I'm special. So I got croup, which is this really terrible cough. It almost sounds like pneumonia, but it's just a cough and it can damage your trachea. Well, I didn't have insurance, so I treated everything naturally. I have a background in holistic health, which we can talk about later. So I treated it naturally, which helped, but I didn't catch it fast enough, so it literally damaged my trachea.
Is that from like scar damage?
Yeah, there's scar tissue on my vocal
Wow.
cords. So now, like, I went from being this high first soprano to an alto.
Wow.
So you still hit up the KTVs a lot here?
Not a lot, but when I do, I hit it hard.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
You're just like,
I love singing Spice Girls or Adele or
Ooh, Adele.
even like, you know, the My Heart Will Go On, Titanic kind of shit.
Do you sing a cappella at all?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
this?
Yeah.
Want to spit a little Adele right now?
Yeah,
Nah,
I could do
I don't want to
some-
put you on the spot. I don't want to
I
put you
could
on
do
the
some
spot.
Adele. I didn't warm up, so don't expect the best.
Well, should we?
You
should
don't
we,
have to tip
Should
me.
we go into it after we drink a little more? Does
No,
that
it's
help?
totally no.
Okay.
I'm not shy at all when it comes to my voice.
Okay.
wow.
Okay, so let's see. Which one do we want to do?
I love Adele, by the way.
What's your favorite Adele song?
Like I know them. Like when I hear them, I don't know their names. Like what is that one?
That one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Which other ones? There's another one where. Howie, you're looking at me like, what the fuck
No,
was
I know.
that?
I know which one you. Yeah. Well, okay. Here. We'll do this one. Hold me closer one more time. Say that you love me in your last goodbye.
Wow.
There you go. Just a little bit.
I think the voice sounds amazing. It
Thank
has a really nice
you.
character to it. That's what I'm listening to right now. Is that character of the voice.
Thank you.
Well, it's nice to have like a deeper, silkier voice. Right?
I like it.
It's suitable for Adele songs. I feel right. Matches
Yeah.
kind of her thing, her
Yeah,
style a little
totally.
bit.
Well, and when I used to teach, I had junior high kids, but you know they have no filter, and they would say, "Miss Hela, your voice sounds like Prozac." Like, is
Wow.
that good? Yes, it's very relaxing. Okay, thanks.
Well, here's the thing, Tamar. I think the interesting thing about you, well, I mean, I'm sure there's several, but is really kind of your whole journey. You know, we spoke briefly before this on the phone.
Yeah, we did.
And you kind of gave me a tiny little glimpse into kind of like your entire journey on who you are today and how you got here, which I just found incredibly fascinating.
Thank you.
Roller coaster ride, a lot of ups and downs, right? So, I mean, obviously there's so much we can talk about today. Where do you want to start?
My childhood is a complete contradiction. I grew up with a mother super religious, very conservative. She's loosened up a bit over the years, but that created a lot of conflict in my relationship with her, especially as a teenager. But also, I think I had this fear of things, a fear of like God's going to punish me or judgment, or also almost in a way learning to judge others that didn't do right.
Because of your religious belief?
Because of my mother's religious beliefs,
Okay.
and because of what I was brought into as a child in religious institutions. But then my father, yes, he has religious beliefs, but he was a crackhead. So
like literally a
I had
crackhead.
like a saint for a mother and then this drug addict father. And the good news is like he's been sober for 15, 16 years now. But yeah, like he, for most of my childhood until I was 20 years old, he was up and down with drug problems, cocaine, crack, narcotics, even like prescription narcotics. He was really heavy into like OxyContin. And like his father left him when he was 5 years old for drugs. His second father was an alcoholic, an abusive alcoholic. And then his third father finally was like normal, which was my grandfather. But he was really tough on my father. Really tough. And so there was like always this kind of chip on the shoulder with my father. And then of course he grew up like in the 70s, 60s and 70s when there was like free love and drugs. He was in the Air Force stationed in Italy and he got an honorable discharge, even though he was involved with the mafia dealing drugs, because he pretended to not speak Italian, and they had no concrete evidence against it. My father's fluent in Italian.
So he was helping the mafia
Yeah.
bring drugs back to America?
Yeah, like, or like smuggle them like within the area. So he had problems, and back then too, like you didn't go to therapists and you didn't like talk about your problems, like you had to
You didn't go
man up.
like seek help, quote unquote,
Right. So it wasn't until like the 90s when my father even started this idea of like, okay, I should probably go to rehab. But then when he started to recover, I was 10 years old, almost 12, like going on 12. He fell down an elevator shaft. So my father is a retired elevator mechanic. Brilliant guy. He fell 3 stories
And survived.
down and survived to tell the tale. So imagine so he fell like when you drop down, there's 6 feet in the shaft where there's nothing. Everything else, there's like all these shards sticking up. He fell in the 6 feet that there was maybe just a few bolts. So bolt went into his back, missed his spinal cord by millimeters. He shattered his left leg, broke his pelvis, got a laceration on his forehead from like right above the brows all the way back to behind his left ear. Gnarly, right? And because like he's a big dude, it took the firefighters 45 minutes to hoist him out of the shaft. And then he was working in Palo Alto, so he got placed in Stanford Hospital, one of the best hospitals in America. And it was the week of Easter, Easter week. And I remember like part of my Easter vacation was going every day to go see my father in the hospital and being like, holy shit, like this man is wrecked. So all these injuries, they can be lifelong pain. So the doctor prescribed Oxy and naproxen, muscle relaxers, double strength Vicodin, like all in one cocktail. And because my father had this drug abuse history, there was nobody to guide him. So that led to like most of my teenage years, like my father being in and out of La La Land. So I never had someone to really guide me in how to talk to boys and have like balance. I think I was quite shy as well. And then I was scared, like, especially like about sex and even kissing boys, because my mom was like, don't have sex until you're married. You're going to die. Right.
Oh, Jesus.
Right.
Wow.
So I had like this dad who was like in and out, like there, but not here in like his mind. And then I had this mom who was like super conservative, super religious. So then like in my 20s, I had just had this really like, I struggled a lot with how do I relate to guys and like dating, and I would get super shy. Like I got asked out all the time, but I would often say no because I didn't know, unless it was like a coffee date, I just didn't know how to handle it. So, well, in my 20s as well, I had a rare virus called fifth disease. So
Fifth disease.
fifth, like the number 5. It's the 5th most common virus in the world. It's called human parvovirus. And for me, it manifested like chronic fatigue, suppressed immune system, and a temporary arthritis. So my whole body was in pain. Like I was an old lady. I woke up with my hands like crinkled up, just in pain every day for 7 years. So imagine from age like 20 till about 26 or so, I was oftentimes like, unless I was working, because work gave me life, other than that, like I just wanted to be home and like do nothing. So I turned from this athlete, like I was quite athletic when I was younger, and I even trained for a triathlon and stuff. And then like I gained like 30 pounds in 6 months and got into unhealthy habits, but also mentally I was like, I did not feel attractive. I did not feel sexy. Going on a date with a hot guy was like the last thing on my mind. I was like, I just want to get better. And then from there, I met an herbalist who literally saved my life, showed me how to take supplements, eat better, move my body better, which got me back on track. And then in Spain, I started to feel better because like my symptoms were gone. And then of course, like in Shanghai in China, like I think I really had almost my missing college years in my 30s.
Your honeymoon phase here, right?
Yeah, but then I got over it really fast. So I'm grateful that it happened that way because I was mature enough to handle it mentally and emotionally. But then I got over it really fast and I was like, okay, I didn't miss much.
It's like out of the system kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, did your upbringing have anything to do with that? Where like, you know, you see kind of what your dad went through and what he was. Did that have an effect on you in terms of now in your older years when you're confronted with, you know, things that might tempt you, or, you know, not now, but like when you were younger, whether it be alcohol or other substances or just a party life in general? Were you already kind of like, you know, I kind of see where this may lead and it just turns me off? Or did that have an impact, or was it just like you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely there were things that I saw that I was like, I'm never going to do drugs. Now, have I tried some psychedelics? Yeah.
Oh, we can get into that.
Yeah, we can totally get into that. But that's more like, that's plant-based.
But so given that mindset, why, what got you interested in plant-based psychedelics? Like why did you feel the need to try it then?
Okay, so as I said, I have a background in holistic health. I'm actually a certified natural like healer therapist, if you want.
Okay.
I'm certified in particular to reverse injuries just with my bare hands.
Can we just really quickly define holistic health, just in case some of the listeners
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know?
sure.
Yeah.
So holistic health is more of what people might call new age or alternative medicine, but actually it's the real medicine. It's over 6,000 years old. It is based in plants, okay? So plants as medicine, but it also, in a broader perspective in our modern day terms, is about like what you eat, how much you're sleeping, how you're taking care of your physical activity, and even down to like energy healing. So a lot of people are getting into like this Reiki stuff and whatever. So part of what I do is when I can heal or reverse injuries, I'm using my energy in my body because we're kinetic electrical beings. Okay, there's always electricity coming out. Now the fact that like the three of us have met, our energy will always be intermingled, but because we're not like best friends, it's not going to be as strong as it would be with someone else I'm super close to. But once you meet somebody, your energies are now intertwined. So taking that idea, I can like concentrate my body's energy to basically put someone's cells back into a state of homeostasis. The only things like I can't reverse are like a broken bone, or if there's like a huge open wound. I could get it to stop bleeding, but I can't like completely reverse it because it gets to a point where it's irreversible and then the body has to like slowly heal. But I can stop a heart attack with my bare hands.
Have you done that? Like, is this something you actively practice?
I have actually helped a friend who was having an adverse reaction to a substance, like his heart was going crazy. I helped to reset it back to its correct rhythm using my heart's rhythm, using the technique. So what you want to do is on the back of the spine, it's the 5th thoracic vertebrae, so just below the neck. You put your right palm on the spine, and then you grab their left pinky with your whole left hand. And what you do is you're creating a circuit from like your heart, your body to theirs. And you hold it long enough until like their heart basically resets because of the electric currents in yours. That's how you can reverse or stop a heart attack.
Wait, so how did you get into this? Because, and I'm not trying to criticize your beliefs in this at all. I'm very open to the idea. But like before you understand it, where people who are ignorant to, holistic medicine and exactly what you're talking about, especially, I mean, there's got to be a point where you're an intelligent person and you're like, wait a minute, that seems like a little far-fetched, right? Like this seems a little woo-woo. So what got you over that into like, this is the real deal?
My friends used to call me the witch doctor, but I was always the first one they called if they got sick. It was because when I had the virus, modern medicine told me, we have no cure for you. Good luck.
And this is the 5th disease you're talking about? Okay.
Here, take some Aleve, take some aspirin twice a day. And I was like, for how long? As long as you need. I could not accept that answer. I was like, are you kidding me? You're supposed to be the doctor. You spent all these years studying, like you're taking care of another patient who has this and you're telling me, well, good luck. Because my case was, I had 5th disease in my bloodstream 4 times higher than any recorded case in medical history. So I became this kind of like interesting guinea pig for them. And my doctor at one of my appointments, my checkups, he was like, oh, this is Dr. So-and-so. Like he's doing his residency. He's very interested in your case. Do you mind if he comes in for the appointment? I was like, oh. It's kind of rude to say no, but I felt like a petri dish.
Like a specimen.
Yeah. And I was like, this is not okay. So I started to research other things. And as Google was just starting to form, I got into like the deep holes of the internet. And what I kept finding and what kept coming up was like herbs, vitamins, massive supplementation, changing your eating. I even like tried experimenting going vegan for a few weeks. That was really difficult, but it helped a lot. And when I started to see the changes in my body just from this thing that I had just been introduced to, I was like, okay, there's something to this. And then that eventually led me to, I met with my herbalist through a colleague of mine. I was like, yeah, most of my body's like better. It's been 6 years. I still have pain in my hand sometimes. I thought it was permanent, but it's gone now. I used to not be able to feel anything in my fingertips. I was like, oh, permanent nerve damage. That's cute. And I'm only 25. So then I met this herbalist and she affirmed everything I had been already studying, but really tightened my regimen for eating, sleep, exercise, supplementation. And she explained to me, herbs are basically just a superfood. And she showed me that because I had been eating so shitty for so long, plus I had stress, plus family trauma, because I was like the one who was kind of caretaking for my family while my dad was going through everything. I had a lot of trauma, and that even malnourished me. So when she showed me how to like literally clean up my gut through superfoods and eating clean, it took about 3 years. I was completely symptom free for the first time in 7 years. I couldn't believe it. Like I had all this energy. I naturally woke up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. I got a shit ton of stuff done. Like my best year, I finished my college degree. It took me 8 years. I published my first book. I got a promotion to be director of operations. I was only 27. What else did I went on a book tour on the East Coast, like all this shit. And people were like, how are you doing this? And I was like, my body's great.
Like everything was just coming together.
Yeah. So then from that to see it in myself, of course you believe it. So then I started to study because my herbalist invited me to like different conferences, hearing these holistic doctors speaking. And then I got certified in the reversing injuries. And damn, when I tried that shit on myself, like I stubbed my toe one time, I was like, oh, I can reverse this. Fucking worked in 10 minutes. No bruise, no pain. Like, so I stubbed my toe, I hit it on the edge of the bed and such excruciating pain. All you do is you put your fist, your hand around it, okay, and you hold it and you squeeze it. And you keep squeezing because you're keeping pressure until the pain's gone. So it took 10 minutes. And basically what it does is, and again, this is proven through kinesiology. This is why it's not voodoo magic. All of our cells are meant to live forever if they can maintain a state of homeostasis. The way a cell maintains homeostasis is it rotates 80 times per second. And that's with the help of our lymphatic fluid, okay? But your lymph doesn't move unless you move. So when you put pressure on an injured area, because what's happened is the lymph has just kind of spilled out like a pool being overflowed, and the cells get really unhappy. So you have to bring all that water back into your little pool to make the cells happy. And when the cells are happy, they naturally heal themselves. Nothing heals our body except for our own body. So by putting pressure there, you're bringing all the lymphatic fluid back. You're making the cells kind of like starting up like an old car, revving up its engine. And once you can get the cells to rotate back to the way they should, it's like the injury never happened. That's what reversing injuries in a scientific perspective really is. So I've been practicing that for almost 10 years now, and I've used it on when I was a teacher. I used it on like kids. Yeah, it breaks your heart to see a kid get injured and they're like bawling their little eyes out. Like I've even done it on bee stings. I had a 12-year-old who at science camp like got bitten, stung by a bee. It's freaking the fuck out, and I reversed it. And all of a sudden he like stops crying. He looks, he's like, where is it? It's gone. I was like, yeah, it's gone, honey. I took care of it.
So our cells are meant to live forever?
Yeah.
Really? It's just a matter of being in the right, keeping them in the right environment?
Yeah, but we can't. I mean, we have pollution. We have stress. Stress totally like releases free radicals that damage our cells. Like, if we had a world that was like in perfect homeostasis itself, our bodies are literally designed to live forever. And they proved that by, I think in the 1920s, 1930s, there was a doctor who took a pig heart, because this applies to all living things. They took a pig heart and they kept it alive by keeping the lymph going and keeping the cells in homeostasis, like in a jar. And I think
just the heart.
Yeah, it was alive for 30 years, which is way past the time that a pig should live. The only reason why it only went up to 30 years is because one night the janitor came in to clean the lab and accidentally unplugged the heart. Yeah, and it like killed the experiment. But it proves like we are meant to live for forever, essentially.
Well, when you say the heart lived for 30 years, was it the cells in the heart were living for 30 years, or was it actually pumping?
It was pumping.
It was pumping.
Yeah. But it was being pumped like artificially. But when they tested the cells were still like young and in homeostasis. So an example of that, like a physical example, I look younger now than I did 10 years ago. Because first of all, I'm pain-free. But second of all, like it also is a mindset thing. And it's about taking care of yourself. So because I take supplements, vitamins, much better, not perfect about taking good care of myself, but really it's what's going on in my mind. Most of my premature wrinkles like are gone, and people can't believe I'm like over 36. Like,
You don't look it.
yeah, I mean, in less than 4 years, I'm gonna be 40. Like,
Yeah, you don't look it.
but I don't look like it. And seriously, I looked like it 10 years ago. So in that regard, like that's really how our bodies are super electrical charged. And if you can keep them in that state of happiness, keep a cell happy, it's gonna be young and fun forever.
Well, let's talk about the diet for a second, right?
Okay.
I'm sure the diet has a lot to do with it. You looking younger, you being pain-free, and just general health overall. So when you were talking about, you were eating really shitty before, and kind of this whole idea of like a holistic approach to health, you started changing your diet, you experimented with different things. So what was your diet like before, and what does it look like now?
It's definitely had ups and downs. My diet as a child was definitely better than the standard American diet. But I remember, like, even as a side dish, my mom would get the instant macaroni and cheese kind of shit, like Kraft macaroni and cheese,
good.
right?
Stop it.
Good stuff.
Stop it.
It's good stuff.
But we always had a salad. That was her rule.
Okay.
So we had like a protein, a carb, and a salad. And then as we got older, my mom started to cut out the carbs because she got into the whole like hippy dippy mom movement and reading her little health magazines. She's like, no more carbs. We'll have rice once in a while, but we're going to have steamed vegetables and a salad and meat. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care. In my teens, I lost 40 pounds my freshman year because I went to Weight Watchers with my father. I learned how to be like more active. I started lifting weights. I started basically portion controlling, but also at least when I ate dinner at home, it was really healthy, but I didn't eat a lot. And I was playing tennis. So I was like super fit. I ran a mile a day, super fit, super active, love swimming.
So that sounds incredibly healthy.
So that was great.
Okay.
Then I went to college, and while in college, I was working 25, 30, and then up to full-time hours while full-time in school, because since we were going through all that shit with my father, he drained our accounts. So my mom was like 1 week my parents were paying for my car, I was 19, and then the next week my mom's like, you got to pay for your own car. And I was like, I'm happy to, but holy shit, like I don't even have savings. So I increased my hours at work, started doing that, and then I was taking night classes. So I was working during the day, taking full-time night classes, barely had a social life, was tutoring on the weekend just to make money, working 7 days a week. So you get in bad habits, like you'll go to the drive-thru at McDonald's or Starbucks, even though you weren't raised like that. Or I would be like, oh, I really want like Ben and Jerry's. So I'd go to 7-Eleven, right? 10 p.m., watching whatever, probably watching Howard Stern when my parents went to bed, and like ate the whole fucking pint. Or like getting those giant, I miss Cheez-Its.
Oof.
Oh, the jumbo ones.
Oof.
But like then all of a sudden you realize you're eating the whole box and you're like, oh my God. So then I had this super carb, like my mom called me the carb queen. I had this super carb filled processed junk diet. I didn't know, like even my mom, like she would just be like, eat a salad, but that's not educating your children how to eat well. So then literally like when I started studying holistic health on my own, I had to like research what is really a carb and what is organic food. That was like just becoming a thing in my early 20s. What is vegetarian versus vegan? What's an alternative sugar? Oh, you can have an alternative sugar? Like, what the hell is coconut sugar? Like, so I really like started to experiment. And then when I met my herbalist, she tested me on food allergies. She was like, okay, your body doesn't like nightshades. It gets inflamed. So nightshades could be like cilantro, potatoes, all the yummy stuff. Eggplant. I'm still allergic to eggplant, so I can't have eggplant, but everything else is fine. Tomatoes. any kind of peppers, like all that kind of stuff.
So you can't have like anything with tomato sauce on it.
Oh, I know I can, but I cut it out for 3 years.
Okay.
And then she was like, your body does not like gluten. And then what else? Oh, and then of course, like white sugar.
Can I ask you something? Was this through a blood test?
No, it's not a blood test. It's through something called muscle testing, which is a kinesiology way to test if your body is averse to something or wants something.
Okay.
Like, how do they actually test?
So you sit on a chair just like I am, okay, and you relax your body, put both feet on the floor. You shouldn't have any metal on you, and you should not be chewing gum. And you put your arm out, so your right arm all the way straight out. And this is neutral. If your body is polarized correctly, okay, so again, remember we're electric beings. We have positive and negative pole like a magnet. If your body is like neutral, it should be pretty strong when your practitioner presses on the top of your wrist, okay? So they say hold, so you can hold it, but you don't fight them. But then with your left hand, like maybe she'll put potato powder and tell you to hold it to your gut. And then she'll say hold. And then when she presses down, like your arm goes down if your body doesn't like potatoes.
What?
If your body likes potatoes, it stays strong.
So is this what happened to you?
So that's how she tested me. And then it was the same with supplements because every month my body needed something different. So she would be like, okay, do you need a capsicum this month? Or do you need like hawthorn berry for your heart? Yeah, so you hold it to your gut. And then you can also do that for emotional beliefs. It's it's crazy, but seriously it works. And I'm trained in that. So I've tested people for food allergies. I've tested them for supplements, vitamins, etc.
So what if you get like really strong when they put something? Like what if they put like a pizza to your stomach and all of a sudden you're like it gets really strong?
Well, you wouldn't go up because you would be fighting. But it's possible. Like your arm could stay strong. Yeah, it's true. Like it's true.
No,
like,
I'm saying like the reverse could happen too, right?
Well,
if your body likes something,
You lift them up.
What it shows is your body can handle it. So it's either can your body handle it, or is it super weak and malnourished and it's like gonna die if you give it this shit.
I actually went one time a long time ago. I used to do a lot. I do production work, and I used to do a lot of production work in the Caribbean. And I visited this one practitioner of like I guess how do you call it?
homeostasis.
Homeopathic, okay,
right?
Yeah.
And so she had this whole clinic there, and so she was one of the people that were interviewing and stuff like that. I did a little piece on her, and so she, did a free testing for all the crew, and we did the testing. It was blood testing though.
Oh yeah.
And through the blood testing, this whole report came out based off of my blood and all this stuff, what I can eat, what I can't eat. And I remember seeing basically everything I eat, I can't eat. Like I should not be eating anything. Like that I.
That's why I don't
eat.
test blood or trust blood tests. Because blood tests say I'm allergic to. Soy is accurate. It says I'm allergic to eggs, but I'm not. I'm allergic to the lectin that's in the eggs, or if a chicken is fed soy-based grains, I'm allergic to that. But eggs, my body does amazing with. That's why I like the muscle testing better. It's more accurate because it uses your actual body, whereas your blood panels are not always super accurate.
So are they literally just holding, like you gave the example of like potatoes? Are they literally just holding some potatoes to your skin? Is that?
You can do that, or you hold it to your gut. But she had all these cool little containers of like potato flour or like powdered potato. And then like peppers, and then flour, wheat flour, etc., like egg powder.
Like flap a steak on there? Is that?
You could.
Could you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
Interesting.
So here with the nutrition part of all this, like I believe it 100%. I get it because there's nutrition science has like been so deeply explored. I mean, they're still learning, they're still finding out. There's still a lot of debate about certain things. But nutrition science is like, you can kind of wrap your mind around it, right? And the things you say make sense. But when it comes to, let's say, like energy healing, I think that's where it gets a lot of people, right? It's like, well, what is this? Like, what? Like you can, like, they're
why
like,
isn't it more popular? Like, if it's so effective, why isn't it more popular?
Yeah, and what's the difference between, like, I've heard of Reiki, But is that not that's different than what you do?
It's a little bit different, but it's similar. Well, let me ask you this. We have hundreds, maybe thousands of cures for cancer. Why aren't they on the market?
Well,
You
okay,
know why?
well, are we getting into conspiracy theory here now?
Oh, it's not a
little
conspiracy theory. It's very logical. It's because you can't patent a plant. My former tax guy, his son is a brilliant doctor. He invented another method to cure cancer. It's really strange, but basically what you do is you take the cancer like cells, you extract some cancer cells from the patient. You put it into a pregnant cow. When I think after she has the cow, then you take the milk that's produced, and there's actually this like anti-cancer enzyme just in that milk that the patient can drink, and it kills the cancer cells. Because while she's pregnant, like the cow, like it creates this special like protein like protection to protect the baby calf. And that can actually like, it's so weird, but it's so simple. So when he came up with that, the FDA shut it down. You can't patent that. You can't patent a fucking cow. It's a cow. So it's the same with these kind of methods, or people will call them alternative medicine or like new age. No, it's not fucking new age. It's been around for
I hate that term, new age.
7,000 years. Like, we didn't have pharmacies in ancient Egypt. Yet those people lived to be some of the healthiest, long-lived people in history recorded. Some of them were some of the smartest, most intelligent humans to walk the earth. Like,
so then
what did they do?
How come back then it didn't survive? Because like big pharma, all these things weren't around back then.
Because we had the Industrial Revolution. And when companies figured out that they could patent. So here's what most people don't know. All drugs that we have come from plants. All the structures come from plants. But you can't patent a plant. So when you just change even one chemical structure, now that's man-made, it's chemical, and you can patent it.
Yeah, you can patent the medicine you derive from the plant.
Correct. But
so why can't they do that with the cancer as well? The cancer.
Yeah, why can't they?
Well, you're saying they can't patent the plant, but if they have like cures for some sort of cancer derived from plants, they can patent that cure. They can patent that medicine, right?
No, not if it's a direct plant. It has to be manipulated.
And you're saying if it's manipulated, then it doesn't work.
Because here's why. Plants have very similar DNA to our DNA. So when we intake plants adapt well to our bodies. Okay? When we change even one chemical structure in a plant, it's now like a foreign invader. And either our body will adapt, so it's microevolution, and our body will adapt and like use it, and it covers symptoms, so we think it's doing something, but it's just alleviating us while our body actually heals us. Or like me,
it rejects
it, and you almost go into cardiac arrest by having Levaquin, which is used for anthrax treatment, which the doctor gave me for walking pneumonia. Like, I almost died from that shit because it has massive amounts of gluten in it. So concentrated, like, it affected my heart.
Well, okay, so with all this that you're saying, I mean, how do you view TCM then? You know,
I totally, like, I'm a believer, especially with acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh, okay.
So acupuncture definitely helps. That has a lot to do with, like, they say chi and all this, but okay, from a scientific term, is your energy. And there are maps of like nerves and meridians in our body that correspond to all of our organs. Even your ears, your hands, and the bottoms of your feet are completely a map for all your body's organs. Even your eyes. So I've been trained in something called iridology. And you can look at somebody's eyes sometimes to diagnose, but we're very cautious with that. It's more to determine, like, do you have a predisposition to something? So if you look in my eyes on, let's use a time reference, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, I have tiny little, like, crevices, like little black things. I had scarlet fever as a child, and I have slight heart damage. I got an arrhythmia from that. So that's where the little heart lines are. So our bodies are always giving this
Clues,
information, right? And if you pinpoint certain areas, then that works. The herbs, yeah, totally work. However, the problem is, especially with plants produced in China, there's so much pollution, and the soil in most parts of the country are like so overproduced and so like filled with metals, heavy metals, that taking the medicine, depending on where it's from, it could do more damage than good. You could actually take these amazing Chinese herbs, but if there's heavy metals in them, you'll get heavy metal poisoning. Or like just from the pollution, like sometimes you can't take enough supplement to counteract what the polluted environment is doing to your body. But yeah, all those things totally work. And look, at the end of the day, the body heals itself. If you believe that you are healed, you will be. Because all beliefs, all like everything affects your cells. So if I tell myself I'm a confident woman, I'm successful, versus if every day I tell myself I'm too shy, I'm never going to make it, then that's what's going to happen. Either you're successful and confident, or you suck at life, because it depends on what you tell yourself. So for me as well, like I said, it's the mindset. Why do I look younger now than 10 years ago? Because I also tell myself I'm younger. Like I literally look in the mirror every day and I'm like, yeah, I look good. Yeah, I'm younger today. Like I tell myself that shit. And I started doing that like 10 years ago. So it really, all of this stuff is amazing. You could take supplements all day long. But if you never match it to what's going on in your mind and what you're feeding yourself, you're never going to be healed, or you're never going to have like what you're dreaming of.
Or you're going to be in constant conflict, right?
Yeah.
I see that. So just to kind of wrap up the whole nutrition part of it, just going back a little bit. So like what would you, with all the philosophies and ideas on nutrition, whether it's veganism or this and that, what is your approach and what would you recommend?
Throw out all your beliefs, throw them out the window. I liked my herbalist approach because obviously it was very individualistic. So she literally is seeing what my body wanted. But remember, the body like regenerates. And so what my body wanted 10 years ago, it doesn't want now. And it's cliche to say this, but we should listen to our bodies. Like, are you really craving a pizza, or is it like protein that your body needs? Or do you need a nap? Or do you need to drink water? So I would suggest like slow down and then really start from a place of being proactive, not reactive. We're reactive in like everything these days because that's how our society has conditioned us. So think about just treating your body well. Like for me lately, what I've been doing, I don't cook the healthiest right now, but I cook at home. That's my rule. So 90% of what I'm eating, I know exactly what's going into it, even if it's I'm making lasagna or I'm making a salad. And the satisfaction I get from making my own amazing lasagna, just one slice is good enough for me. I'm not going to overeat because I'm not at a restaurant seeing other people like having this and that. No, like I'm satisfied. And actually like it's cleared up my skin. I sleep better. My digestive system is better. And then that's something for me to build upon to get back to super clean eating like I used to do. So I think people should really just like look at themselves and not go on some trend because it's never sustainable.
I listen to my body all the time.
What does your body tell you?
Eating burritos and tacos.
Okay.
Almost every meal.
He speaks to you in Spanish too.
Like nonstop.
I was going to
Every
say, you should be California and not from New York.
I know. It's my favorite.
I can just imagine this like really like racist voice, like in an over the top Mexican like accent, you know, telling you. You're just hearing this in your own head.
Well, in California, there's like these jokes that, especially when you get into Gilroy, which is the garlic capital of the world, if people don't know that. So I come from a town very close to Gilroy. In the summer, when the garlic is blooming, it smells like chicken soup outside.
Wow.
But that's where like all the Mexicans are because there's so many farms. And so, like, kid you not, you go to like Safeway or like Trader Joe's or something, grocery shopping, and then someone pops out and they're like, do you want a tamale?
Really?
Yeah, I'm not like, but my
Just like
friends
from around the corner.
my friends would like joke, like they just like pop out of the, but do you want a tamale? Do you want an empanada?
I would say yes.
Yeah, no, they're fucking good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure. I'm sure
But
they're
no,
delicious.
but it's true. Like even when I went 2 years ago to visit California, there's like people popping out of the bushes with their little tamale
Sounds
carts.
like
I'm like, oh, I love this.
That sounds like heaven.
So it's got to be hard living in a city like Shanghai, right? If you want to live like you do all this stuff and be healthy and live a holistic lifestyle. I mean, your access to certain ingredients, certain stuff. It's got to be very tough here.
It can be challenging, for sure. It's most challenging when you don't have a plan and when you don't have the right.
But you're also
right
getting
mindset.
ingredients and stuff like that because you're so used to cooking. Maybe, having ingredients accessible back in the States.
I was
Here
used to getting anything in California,
Yeah.
especially at Whole Foods.
Because that's always been a big
I
problem
miss
for
Whole
me.
Foods.
I miss Whole Foods.
Every time I walk into Whole Foods, it's like, oh.
yeah, it's like
you know?
heaven. It's
Yeah.
heaven.
Yeah,
It's pricey though. It's fucking
but it's like the
pricey.
biggest
I
issue that
know.
I've had here about cooking is meals that I used to cook, easily. The ingredients I would want, I just
Yeah.
go to the market and I get
Well,
it. But here, you have to
avocado
specially
lady.
order it.
I know.
You know what I mean? You have to order from like
just have to
King
plan
Timmy or
ahead.
something like that.
Well, I'm pretty good with Ypres Market. I love Ypres Market.
Ypres Market,
They've
yeah.
never let me down.
Well, what's Ypres Market? I don't even know this. What is this?
Oh, it's like the
It's a
Laoway
supermarket.
grocery
Yeah.
online
I thought
delivery.
Fields was. Is Fields
There's-
still around?
No, they're
they're gone.
closed.
They're
Field,
gone.
okay, so I'm so
You're
out.
so out.
I'm so out.
There's Kate and Kimmy.
King Timmy Eper.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know
Ypres
any
Market.
Okay.
And then Avocado Lady, the famous Avocado
course.
Lady.
Yeah.
And then there's Taobao. Look, all you gotta do is Google like whatever you want. You want like horchata? Just take a picture of it, put it on Taobao. Someone's got it. So for me, it's again like it's preparation. It's but like right now I'm super more relaxed. I'm not stressing about it. My goal was to be creative this year, and I'm putting my creativity into food because I'm an artist. I have a background as an artist, and not just music, but as a painter. But I just haven't felt like painting. So my creation this year is food. So like I made French onion soup, I made barbecue ribs, I made mushroom soup, carrot and cauliflower soup, pumpkin soup. I made empanadas. I made like a raspberry custard tart the other day.
You know what you need to do, right?
Yeah, you guys can totally come over.
You knew it.
Oh, and I make amazing tacos.
This guy.
Stop it.
Howie is just.
I'm not kidding.
He's
like,
addicted to Mexican food. Like
no,
literally,
like
he's
seriously.
addicted. Yeah.
My mom makes them this particular way, and I make really fucking good tacos. Like I have witnesses and testimonials. Seriously.
No, it's a real problem for Howie.
It's a sickness.
And
Yeah.
I make guacamole from scratch. I make pico de gallo, like everything. Yeah, I'll totally like.
We gotta do
Do
it.
you
up.
notice the reactions that you're
Yeah,
getting
I
right
know.
now?
You guys are having like food gasms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Totally.
So here's what we'll do. We'll have Julian because I can't have tacos without poor Julian, my wonderful business partner and dearest friend. We will do that. We're gonna get the four of us together. I'll make you guys tacos.
We'll pick another good 90s movie, pop it in.
Oh my god, yeah.
Right.
And then you guys provide the margaritas.
Easy.
Easy. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
stub my toe, and you're gonna heal it.
On the spot.
On the spot.
Okay. I can do that.
Let's get into the whole mindset of it all.
Okay.
Right. So, what's your philosophy on mindset then, in terms of how it relates to this whole being holistically healthy? I guess. Right.
Mindset has everything to do with everything. Again, like, okay, so people use all these cliches, law of attraction, and like, oh, it's just your mindset, and like, change your beliefs. But it's true. And again, I like to approach things from a scientific perspective.
Please do.
When I
because-
was-
yeah, because
I know.
I'm one of those people with like when the
Yeah.
book like Law of Attraction came out and people talk about like
Like
the
The
power of
Secret,
positivity and stuff like that.
Yeah, the secret.
Like
exactly.
I want to believe it. It's not like I reject it. Like I really honestly want to believe it. I want it to be true because it would be amazing. But it's just it's just hard to really believe in it, to believe in like, oh, just if you just think about something, it'll come to you.
Yeah, because there's no tangible evidence.
Yeah.
Right? Especially because if you only do it a few times, nothing happens. And you're like, that's a ripoff.
Yeah, and no one's coming at it from a scientific
Correct.
point of view.
Well, they are, but they're more, they're not mainstream. So mainstream people are like, oh, it's mindset, and like, you just have to be motivated and
Be positive.
Fucking bullshit. Okay, let's be real. Okay, I suggest that you guys check out Sean Carroll. I think we were talking about on the phone. He wrote this cool book called Something Deeply Hidden, and it's about like parallel lives, and it relates to quantum physics. So there's still a lot being done in the field of quantum physics, but basically,
And parallel universes. And
yeah,
stuff.
it's so fucking
It's a
cool.
big thing.
So
Yeah, it's crazy.
So normal or like classical physics was quite constrained. And we thought that, and I'm totally nerding out here because like I actually wanted to be a scientist when I was a teenager.
No, please nerd out. Nerd out
I
all
got
the
a
way.
science award. It was kind of embarrassing. But
Why is that embarrassing? I would be
because
bragging about it.
I wanted to be the cool girl in high school, not like the nerd. But no, it was fine. It was fine. I'm proud of it now. But okay, so I love science and I study the brain. I study quantum physics, like all this shit. I study health. I study biology. So quantum physics basically has taken over in the past, I don't know, 100 years or so. And definitely like Einstein really helped to pave the way because he had some pretty interesting ideas. And then scientists beyond that like took it further. So now modern day scientists are really starting to get into quantum physics and all the things that we still haven't explored. But what they found is the way that energy works is a lot different than what we thought, because there's this whole like joke. If a tree falls down in the forest, but no one is around to observe it, did it really happen? And people are like, well, yeah, of course, like it fell down, it fell. Actually, no. Something has to be observed in order for it to have happened, quote unquote. Okay? So now, here's where we get to this weird shit about quantum physics. There's like this experiment they did where I think there's like a cat in a box and then something happens like...
Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, Schrodinger, right?
Yeah, Schrodinger's cat. I'm fucking up the name, but...
Schrodinger's cat. Yeah, so like in one scenario, like the cat lives, but in one scenario in this little box, like the cat dies because there's like poison and shit. But here's the thing, like, there's not just two possibilities. There's like endless possibilities because it depends on who's actually observing what's happening to the cat. It depends on if the observer intervenes. It depends on if the cat makes a different decision and like learns how to escape the box, like all kinds of shit. So then we get to this argument of because possibilities are endless, what happens to that energy? Energy is not like finite. It's infinite. Energy is everywhere. When we look at each other, our brains are filtering how our bodies are, because if we really saw how we are without a brain filter, we would be fucking terrified. Like my face might be super distorted, but what you guys see is like what you think is normal or average because that's a perception. But beyond our perception, energy is happening however the hell it wants. And especially when it's observed, it's actually influenced because of the observer's energy. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if energy and choices or possibilities are unlimited, what does that mean? Well, it potentially means there's clones or copies of us always being made.
The multiverse?
It's like a multiverse. So it's beyond a fork in the road. You know, if you're walking down the street, you could go left, you could go right, you could go straight, or you could turn around and go backwards. Well, what if like a different kind of version of you, like each one made a decision? One went left, one went right, one went straight, one went back. Whatever, one stepped out and didn't look and got hit by a car. So like because our bodies are energy, like where does that energy go? Like where does that other choice go? So it's like, oh, it's totally a mind fuck, but I'm super excited that science, real science, is starting to actually like take seriously these studies and fund them more. So Sean Carroll, he's like a big pioneer in all this kind of stuff, and he tends to be more conservative as far as like not getting into the voodoo la 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 stuff. Mm-hmm. So when he talks about parallel lives, I believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I could totally see how legit it is.
Oh no, this is for real. It's
Right?
a real science right now. It's at
It's
the
a
cutting
real
edge.
science.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
cutting edge of physics, right?
Right. So now think about that. Okay. Choices, beliefs, what we're thinking, even what we're thinking right now is giving off energy. When you can train your thoughts to get into a particular energy, and I like to call it an energy of reception. That's really what the law of attraction is. That's really what having like a success mindset or an abundance mindset looks like. And if we look at our lives and we say, oh, but you know, the law of attraction is just bullshit. Well, look at where you are. Are you a millionaire like you dreamed when you were 12? If you're not, you caused that. Because some people dream about being millionaires and they achieve it. Why? They caused it. Like if you look at Dean Graziosi, one of my favorite like copywriter guys, he used to live in like the bathroom of his house with his dad during the winters because it was like that was the only room that could be heated up. And when he graduated high school, he was like, I'm not going to live this life anymore. So he took action, and in taking action, it helped to change his brain and essentially get what he wanted because he primed himself for that. But other people could be in the same place, and if they tell themselves, I'll never amount to nothing, I'm always going to work in my dad's mechanic shop, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, then you will be.
Well, do you think people are just ascribing more to what's happening than what's actually happening, right? Like, because it's the idea of like correlation does not mean causation.
Correct.
Right? So just because some people dream and think of being a millionaire and eventually some of them do actually become millionaires, that doesn't mean that's what caused it. I mean,
correct.
Right? So
because you have to take action.
Yeah. It's basically, it's like gambling. It's odds. You know what I mean? And you're basically just raising your odds of achievement by not only thinking about it, but putting yourself in a position to get closer to that goal. Now, for example, like you said, if I have a dream as a 12-year-old to become a millionaire, am I just sitting in my room just thinking about being a millionaire? Or am I putting in effort, telling people, creating connections, blah, 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 to create that odds? You know what I mean? That's in my favor to get there. That doesn't mean I get it. I may not. But if 10 people do that and the odds are all the same, well, the odds are that maybe 5 of those people will get it or whatever.
Well, the idea, though, of law of attraction is that you change your odds so that they're always favorably primed because our environment determines our beliefs.
It's not a guarantee, though. That's what I'm trying to get at.
But it could be.
There is no guarantee, though.
Well, actually, here's why there could be. Dr. Bruce Lipton, father of epigenetics, one of my favorite dudes ever. Like, he literally changed my life. He, in the 60s, took a petri dish and, like, got cells that I think normally should be, like, evolved into a stomach, okay? But he was like, I'm going to put, like, a petri dish with the normal environment for developing a stomach cells. I'm going to put a petri dish where I change the environment so that, like, I manipulate it to become another, like, cells of a different organ, even though they start off as technically stomach cells. And then one was like, you know, the neutral one. What he found was, and he could repeat this experiment over and over and over with success, when you just change the environment, the stomach cells turn into something else. And that is epigenetics. That is the expression of genes. And that has to do also with our beliefs. So I said earlier, if you have a particular belief and it's strong enough, what you've done is you have basically changed your environment. Because sometimes we can't control our external environment. Sometimes we can't afford to move to like a different place, right? Or sometimes we are in a shitty situation and like we stay there. But if you can change what's in here, this is the other environment, like in your mind. If you can change what's in there, now you've primed yourself literally for genetic expression and to change your energy. So part of like what I was studying when I was doing this energy healing was you can create a energy of openness, receiving, inviting people in. If there's danger, you want to create the opposite. Or if there's somebody who intimidates you or you feel like you can't say no to them, you want to actually put up this kind of metaphorical wall of energy. So you, part of the exercise is you pretend like you're a castle. You envision a moat around you, okay? And that person can never cross over your moat. I have done this when I've been in like dangerous situations, traveling by myself, where I feel like, that person's a little shady. They're getting too close. I don't know if they're a pickpocketer or whatever. And they will literally stop, or they'll turn away because I imagine like my energy pushing them, like a big hand pushing out, and it's fucking weird, but it works. I see that person like get really weird, and then they back away from me like they don't know what happened.
Well, could it also be because you're changing your body language as well?
No, I just stay like static. It's literally energy.
Okay.
So again, like that is something coming from my mind, and it's a physical, tangible thing of me changing the environment of my mind to produce a physical result that I want. Imagine if you could discipline your mind so much. This is the mindset shit. And this is where we get into neuroscience, rewiring our brain. If you could completely rewire inside your internal environment, you will have different results. You will attract different people because energy attracts like energy. You will attract opportunities because your mind is more open to see it. It's like if you want to take a vacation to Bali, all of a sudden you're going to see Bali everywhere. Or if you're dreaming to buy a new Honda, now you notice all the Hondas on the road. Did you notice them before? No, because you change your awareness.
Yeah.
And that's why it is, and I'm going to say this with conviction, it's a guarantee to get what you want. Is it easy? No, it's fucking difficult. It's literally conditioning your mind over and over and over. That's why visualization is so powerful. Meditation, because meditation puts you in a state of theta or delta, which literally like opens the creative center. Most of our thinking takes place in our midbrain, which is like, it processes things really fast, but it's not as smart as the prefrontal cortex. And if something isn't like new or interesting or changed, it sends information to our lizard brain in the back, the oldest brain, to either run from it, so fly, kill it, fight, or mate with it. So like when you can learn how to really like harness the mind and the brain and your energy, etc., 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 that's when you become this person that like everyone goes, wow, like everything always goes well for him. He always seems to win. He always closes that deal, or she always gets like the hot guy. Like, what is that? It's all in your mindset.
No, I definitely believe in the power of mindset.
Yeah.
My issue is when, I guess my issue with the whole law of attraction thing is that the name almost implies it's like things just come to you. Whereas the reality of it, I think, in the way you're describing it, and the way I've heard other people describe it, is that it's actually a very proactive exercise. It's it's a very proactive thing. Like, yes, can you change your mindset? Just like if you're afraid of like falling into potholes, when you walk down the street, you're going to notice all these potholes, whereas you would have never noticed them before,
Correct.
right? So it's that same example. And that's a very real thing that every one of us experience in different ways. So I understand the power of mindset in terms of looking for opportunities when you wire yourself to be more aware of those opportunities. And then that awareness feeds into not only a desire, but your ability to actually take action if you are proactive about it. But, you know, I feel like the law of attraction, when most people talk about it, or maybe it's a misunderstanding, when you hear it, it's like, oh, well, just think about it and then it'll just come to you.
Right.
And that's very misleading.
Yeah, it is. Because again, it has to be coupled with action. If you don't take action, like, it's not going to really happen, especially the way that you want or in the time frame that you want. You know, if like you go to live in the desert and you're a hermit and you keep dreaming about like going to marry the hottest woman in the world, but you stay in the desert all your life, could you blame law of attraction just because you kept visualizing it? No, because you sat on your ass in the desert as a hermit. Like you didn't go change your external environment and you had control over that. So I think, I think people will just say that because let's be honest, like most people are lazy or they're just ignorant and they are scared to take action. So part of like what Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about, which I would like to study more, is literally like this quick reprogramming of your brain. It's called Psych K. And basically, in 10 minutes, it's like uninstalling an old software in your computer and then reinstalling like something like a brand new software completely, like not just upgrading it. And yeah, like there's ways like people can overcome trauma or old beliefs or whatever, because something as well that we're fighting, we're not a blank slate when we're born. We're imprinted with beliefs from up to 6 generations ago. And if like, you know, your great grandma was raped and you don't know that, and you have this weird fear of men as a woman, like you wouldn't even know where to start to overcome that. Like, you're like, why am I so scared of men? Oh, I must be shy, or, you know, but like, if you understand too, like where you're coming from or your family history, like then you actually know these pre-existing beliefs that you're also fighting against. So it's not just mindset, like in the context of what you're dealing with. It's literally mindset and old beliefs that have been programmed into your poor little brain from 6 generations ago.
And this is a field of research right now?
Yeah, so this is part of epigenetics. Because every 6 or 7 generations, it's actually kind of like almost like a new race of people. It's new blood. But also like a lot of psychologists are starting to study this more and more when they don't understand why someone has these traumas or these unexplained fears, like fear of snakes, fear of spiders, and there's no trauma they ever experienced in their life about it. So that's a part of law of attraction that most people won't talk to you about, or mindset beliefs, because it's like, it's hard for us to imagine that we're not this blank slate and we're this unique individual born. Like we actually inherit a lot more than we think we do, especially in our brains.
But you still believe in there's still a role for the nurture part of it all, right?
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Totally.
So a lot of the fears we're talking about can also be nurtured through our environment and our actual present experiences.
Yeah, I think so.
So is it, I mean, this has nothing to do with it, but like, I mean, there were studies that show like water retains memory.
Yes, it
right?
does. It does.
Yeah, and they were actually
Yes.
What is
experimenting
this?
it. Yeah, water retains memory.
Water retains memory.
Yeah. At first, I was like, bullshit.
What does that mean?
But you actually see experiments,
Yes.
and you see water retain memory.
What does
Yeah.
that mean?
Can you explain it better than I can? Like,
okay.
water will follow a certain path,
Yeah,
and if you tell it to, it will follow the same path again.
Yeah.
It's like, it's weird.
Okay, well, like, you know how ants leave a little trail, an invisible trail, when they're going out to scavenge? Like, they leave this kind of like saliva so that the other ants can follow it. And if it gets broken, that's where they get like fucked up and they look like traffic in Shanghai. But basically, it's like water can almost follow this kind of path if it's been left for it. Water also responds to music. And here's a trippy dippy thing. So yes, we're all energetic beings. Okay. We give off negative ions.
Response to energy. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cell phone towers, all this other shit gives off positive ions, and it affects us in a bad way. They're EMFs, okay? Electromagnetic frequency. That can even fuck with our heart, cause cancer like cells to amplify, etc. Water also responds to these kind of things like sound waves, but there's like this there's special minerals that you can put together that neutralize EMFs. And I actually have this, it looks like a drink coaster with minerals from the ground that neutralize EMFs. And it's a trip. Like, you can put a glass of water on top of that, stir it around, and it does like this weird reaction that's different from just stirring water like with a spoon, because it's neutralizing the energy of the water. So I should have like, oh man, if I knew we were talking about this, I would have brought in like shown you the experiment. But like, yeah, you can do that kind of shit. Like even on my phone, I have a EMF neutralizer on my computer. I have that because I don't want to be affected by it. But some people like have such a sensitivity to it that they have to move out of cities and into the countryside because they can't even handle cell phone towers. So water can react in the same way because water has its own frequency.
I've seen experiments where I forgot exactly what they were testing with the water, but I think it was the acidity and pH levels of the water.
Yeah.
Where they did they repeated these tests, right? And this is like in a clinical trial. It's like legit, you know. And they had one glass of water, another glass of water from the same source, waters from the same source, and in one, like water A, they would like yell and scream and berate the water.
Yeah.
Right. And B, in water B, they would just like say like nice things,
Yeah.
encouraging, really positive things about the water. And afterwards, they would test the acidity and pH levels. I think that's what they were testing.
Yeah.
And it would change.
Correct.
And it would always change in the same direction. So if
Yeah.
the positive thing, it would be less acidic,
Yeah.
higher pH. If you were like berating the water and just yelling and screaming and just feeding all this negative
Yeah.
energy, like the acidity level would rise.
Correct.
And it was repeatable.
What I
Yeah.
saw was I think it was like food spoiling or something like that, or something that was spoiling, and basically like fungal growth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And same thing, like yelling and being
Yes.
negative and stuff like that. Like fungal growth was really slow, so like it was just like barely anything was happening. But then the other side, where you're being like an asshole toward it, you know, to
Yes.
it was just like nastiness was growing
Really?
everywhere. Yeah. These experiments were around.
It's the same with plants.
Yeah.
My mom always had like rose bushes when we were growing up, and they were beautiful. And she'd always tell me like, Tamar, just, you talk nice to the roses. So I did it as a kid. Like I would talk to them and be like, hi, you're pretty. But my mom like literally would talk to them. And I thought it was just because scientifically, like we're releasing carbon dioxide, right? So, and the plants feed off of that. So they just get it more directly. But more than that, like I didn't know until I was older and studying all this stuff, it's also energy. It's like, tone of voice is super important. Like you could tell someone that they're stupid, but have a really nice tone of voice and sound like a positive energy, and actually still has kind of a positive effect. So like even in that, like again, it's what energy you're giving off. But all these things around us, even like this table, it seems static, but it's not. This table is moving. Things are constantly moving. This is energy. And we
atoms
don't realize.
are constantly moving and vibrating.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
They're never in the same position, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Well, look, I think all this is incredibly fascinating. And, really what I'm taking away from it is, it's really about keeping an open mind to a lot of things. And there's so much unknown about what is real, what isn't quote unquote real,
Right.
what is reality, what isn't, right? And we're still, and I've talked about this a little bit in past episodes, but it's like science itself, like the parameters of what we know as scientific fact are expanding every day. And not just expanding, they're changing. You know what I
Right.
mean? And they're constantly being challenged. And to think that like we know like the fundamentals of like our reality already, like the foundation of it. Obviously, everyone, I think every intellectual person can acknowledge we're always exploring, we're learning new things. But for the most part, they think like, okay, but the foundation, we got that set. Like that's not to be questioned. But I don't think that's. I don't
We have
think that's
no
the truth.
clue.
Yeah,
We have no fucking clue.
I think the foundation is to be questioned.
Correct.
Right? Like we're like the Matrix, right? It's like all
Yeah.
of it is to be questioned. Like who are we to think like in this blink of an eye of like modern human existence and scientific, renaissance and awakeness that like we have it all figured out and
Right.
like we can be so confident about everything in terms of the reality of our existence. I think these things are things that can constantly be questioned, and we're completely learning. Like we don't even know like where like what the universe is. Like we don't know that.
One must keep your mind open because time and technology is allowing new explorations to happen, and you have to keep your mind open.
Well, and the universe is expanding. right?
And expanding into what? We don't know.
Exactly.
Like, we don't even know like where it's expanding to. Like,
we don't.
Like, what is that other side? What is that boundary?
Guesstimate that it's like 13 billion years old, but maybe it's not. Is it going to implode on itself like some people believe? Is it going to infinitely expand? Is this galaxy going to be eradicated in 5 billion years? Like, we don't know. Like,
we have
Is the
no
human
idea.
race a loop? You know what I mean?
Well, the Big Bang is a theory. I mean, like we learn about it, and everyone, you know, it's unanimously like kind of like agreed upon, like, you know, an event like that happened by scientific minds. But at the end of the day, it's still a theory. It's the Big Bang theory. It's not a Big Bang fact.
Well, and then there's creationism theory, which I used to teach. Half of my degree is in religious philosophy and studies. So I study a lot of different religions. I used to teach like metaphysics and religious philosophy. And like, so I taught creationism. I taught evolution theory. And I reminded my students, like, they're both theories. You can believe what you want, but I'm going to present the evidence that we know so far to be concrete. But I find what's really fascinating is that recently, because neuroscience is gaining more and more traction, they discovered a year or two ago what they're calling the God consciousness in our brain. That there's literally something in our mind that is animated that has no connection to our biology whatsoever. And so even in science, they're calling it, for lack of better phrase, like the God consciousness, which I find like super fascinating because a lot of people will ask, well, what does animate us? Like, is there something bigger beyond? Like, you and I talked about my ayahuasca ceremony, and I saw, like, I swear I saw God, but it wasn't how I always imagined him. It wasn't the God that I grew up hearing about.
You mean it wasn't a white guy in a beard? Like,
no, but it was definitely this, it was this big mass in the universe, in the cosmos, definitely a masculine energy. There's some other shit out there. Like,
for sure.
In my ceremony, like, I was talking to stars and like other entities, and oh my God, I love this show, Ancient Aliens.
Oh, on History Channel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I fucking love that show. And you know, there's been like cases where the Russian astronauts said that there was like what they thought to be was angels outside of their spaceship, and they told them, like, you need to turn around and go back. You're not ready for like what's really out here. And they did. Like, they turned around and went back, and they're like, what? Like, how do you explain those kind of like phenomena? Like, how could there only be just chemical reactions when humans in and of themselves, like, we're so fascinating, and there's so many facets. Like, we haven't even reached the potential of what our brain is created for. Yeah. Most people probably use 5% of their brains. I don't even think it's 10%.
Well, I have a friend who uses this analogy a lot, and it's like it's the analogy of like you're a frog sitting at the bottom of a well, right? And you look up at the sky and you can only see like that little circle, and you think like that's all there is. Little do you know, like, you know, everything that you don't see. But like, look, Tamar, can we have you back on sometime to really get into, okay, we can get into the ayahuasca, because I did ayahuasca. So we have experiences there to share, creationism, evolution, all these things I think would be fascinating.
Whatever you want.
because we started off this one where we're just kind of getting to know each other. We didn't really know where we're going. So we're kind of just like free balling here, which was an amazing conversation, by the way. But like next time, because I really want to get deep into what you're hinting at now, and that itself can be a whole great episode in itself.
We can totally do that. I didn't expect to go this direction either, but
it was fun though.
Over tacos and empanadas.
No, but this
I'm
is
kidding.
Yeah, we could totally
next time we'll eat.
Oh my God, yeah.
All you're hearing the microphones like.
Well,
be silent.
maybe it could be a double with Julian. We can talk about our ceremony. We could do some tacos and tequila. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to have you back.
Yeah,
this was a very fascinating conversation. I like to get into this type of stuff as well because, again, like this show is all about like just expanding our horizons, right? Like getting different people, different experiences, different points of view, different beliefs onto this show, and just like sharing and throwing ideas back and forth. Yeah.
Well, you see why I wasn't a party girl, really.
Cheers, Tamar.
Cheers. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
guys.
Thanks for coming on. We'll have
Yeah.
you back on again. All right, guys. I'm Justin.
And I'm Howie.
That was Tamar. We love you guys. Be good. Be well. Bye.
See ya. Peace.
The sun will see.